This is Miguel. I am the host of Strategy Rewind podcast, a podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategy needed for a breakthrough moment. I am also a personal growth strategist, which means that I help individuals think strategically so that they can accomplish their breakthrough moment. I'm so excited that you would be here connected today. As you know, we are going live on the Wisdom application, and that conversation then becomes part of the Strategy Rewind podcast. So, for those listening on the Wisdom app, if there's anything that calls your attention and you want to become part of the conversation, go ahead and smash that button, become a guest, because as you converse, as we have this conversation, it gives voice to the voiceless. Furthermore, those who are listening on the Strategy Rewind podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate, do all those amazing things. Today, we're talking about the definition of win. W-I-N. Oftentimes, we understand that establishing a goal is going to require certain actions and attitudes from us. I think we have that clear. We've spoken about that numerous times, and I think that's clear, right? If you want to accomplish a particular goal, if you want to reach a particular destination in your life, in your personal growth, it's going to require something from you. And I think we understand that. This is why it's a better question to ask what not what do I have to do to accomplish a goal, but who do I have to become in order to accomplish the goal? And this question forces us to then begin to actually think, okay, who do I have to become? What would that person be doing? What would that person's attitude be? I often equate it to the idea that there is a multiverse. You see that a lot with the DC and Marvel comics, where they have this multiverse. And so in this, one character could be in multiple universes, and sometimes they do interact with each other. Well, the idea is that if there is a multiverse, if indeed there is, then can you imagine another version of you that is accomplishing the things you want to accomplish? And the question now becomes, what is that version of you doing to accomplish those things that you want to accomplish? We're not talking about someone else. We're talking about you, a different version of you, a version that exists within you, but it's just going to require for you to become that person, bring that person out. So we talk about a metamorphosis, we talk about a transformation, and we understand what those words mean. But when we relate it to accomplishing a goal, when we relate it to living the life we wish to live, oftentimes we don't actually work that out. And so the question is, who do you have to become in order to accomplish your goals? And then that would lead you to continue to ask, and what would that person be doing? That version of me, what would he do in order to accomplish those goals? Again, I think we understand we're going to have to do something that we haven't done before in order to see the results that we've never seen before. So we understand that. But when we talk about actually trying to accomplish our goals, actually trying to become better people, actually trying to grow, when we talk about this, few times do we talk about the definition of win, the definition of W-I-N. So I'd like to take a moment and converse to you today about the definition of win, the definition of W-I-N. And let's start with the letter W in this definition here. And the W stands for withstand. And the definition of W-I-N, the letter W stands for withstand. Oftentimes, we understand that there's going to be some challenges that will come our way, or that just will be a byproduct of attempting to be a better you, a different version of you, the version of you that's committed, the version of you that wants to grow. And we understand that there's going to be some challenges. I've even presented it in the sense of saying, well, we know that on the road to the treasure, there's going to be some giants and dragons, right? In every story that you see the hero go on a journey, there are dragons, there are giants, and there's a treasure. And so the individual who's on the journey has to look beyond the fact that, yes, there are giants, yes, there are breathing dragons, but if you move beyond that, there's also a treasure, meaning you have to withstand. The best way to withstand those difficult moments is to keep on moving. You might be hurt or injured or tired or have something caught in your eye, or you maybe even feel like you're behind the eight ball and things are just getting worse after worse. But the truth is that if you keep moving forward, if you keep pushing forward, then indeed you'll be able to withstand. And this does require that we would dedicate ourselves, and every single day we would have to rededicate ourselves. Right? We talk about the story of Rocky Balboa. And Rocky Balboa, in his words, he said, it ain't about how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Those are the words of Rocky Balboa. And we know the story of Rocky, how he fought his way to become the known Italian stallion, right? And he was an underdog. And we all love the underdog story. We all love the underdog story when we're not the underdog. When we're the underdog, we're called to withstand. When we're overlooked, when we're treated as Rocky, it's difficult in that moment of difficulty to think of yourself in the ring being able to scream, Adrian. But this is the moment that in your journey, you have to be able to withstand. You will not win if you do not withstand. So, in the definition of win, W-I-N, the letter W stands for withstand. You have to withstand the attacks. You have to withstand in the face of hurt, in the face of trials, of tribulation. Right? You have to withstand, because once you have withstood the onslaught and all of the attacks, but the smoke clears and you're still standing, what happens is that this not only builds the faith in you that, hey, I can overcome. This also builds the faith in others who may be thinking, I can't accomplish. Because oftentimes what happens is that when we set forth a goal and everyone around us is looking at us as we're marching along to complete that goal, all they're looking at is, when are we going to throw in the towel? When are we going to give up? When are we going to wave the white flag? It may not be that they want you necessarily to lose. It's just they've seen other people quit. So they're expecting that you're also going to quit. And let's be honest, maybe you've quit before. And so now your track record isn't so good. And they're thinking, all right, he'll give it a couple months and then he'll quit like he's done before. This is your time to withstand. Round one may have been difficult. Round two, maybe your knees were wobbly. Round four, right? You may find yourself as you go deeper into the rounds, as you go deeper into your journey, as you go deeper into the idea of growing, you may experience some difficulty. But the truth of the matter is that if you withstand, you will win. If you withstand, you will win. Now, here's the thing. And I'm using a lot of the analogy of boxers, and I'm using analogy of, right, fighters, because when we talk about the definition of win, the second letter, we spoke about the W, which is to withstand, right? The onslaught is going to come, but if you stay there, if you just keep moving forward, I'm not saying stay there and let them hit you like a punching bag. I'm saying you got to bob and weave, you got to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. You got to, right? You got to keep that bounce on round one and in round 10. You got to keep moving forward. But here's what happens. The idea is that as you go deep into the rounds, as you go deeper into your journey, as you go deeper into your self development, as you go deeper into this process of growth, when we talk about the definition of win, the second letter is I, which stands for implement. And this is the thing. If you're in that moment, if you're in that fight and you withstand, hey, they're going to ring the bell. You're going to have a chance to go into your corner. You better listen to your corner man. So you may be saying, I'm not a boxer. This doesn't apply to me. No, guess what? I'm not a boxer either. I just seen a lot of Rocky and fight movies. But here's one thing I know when we talk about the application to our life, it is important that the people in your corner actually want to see you win. You don't want nobody in your corner telling you, hey, you ain't going to do this, man. This ain't going to work out. You best quit right now. You don't want nobody in your corner like that. You want people in your corner who will say, you got this. Even if you're black and blue and feeling like it's done, they'll be like, don't worry. You got this if you withstand. If you withstand, if you keep pushing, you got this. Because what happens is that by the time you sit back down and you're like, coach, I can't, I don't think I could do this. They give you the play. They tell you what to implement, what to do next. You see, all of those strikes, all of those shots you've been taking, it's not in vain. You have to now implement an idea, a move, a strategy. You have to now pivot. You have to now be able to say, okay, it's clear they're coming at me with X shot. They're coming at me with this move. They're coming at me with that maneuver. Now I'm going to bob and weave. I'm going to go under. I'm going to hit them with the shot at the ribs. Right? You got to have that vision, that mindset. I cannot lose. You have to implement. It's not enough to withstand the onslaught. It's not enough, because if you've withstand the onslaught and you've maintained and you understand, you got that tunnel vision, you're like, I'm going all the way. No one is taking this victory away from me. You got that tunnel vision, but it's not enough. How many people do you know that have withstand the onslaught? Like they take beating after beating after beating. I'm talking about, it's like they implement a goal, and the moment they say, I'm going to save money, is the moment that their car note is due, plus rent is due, plus they get fired. That's difficult. Some of us have been there. Some of us are there. You face the onslaught. And sometimes it ain't that drastic in your life. Sometimes the onslaught comes from people telling you won't be able to make it. Or sometimes the onslaught comes from your limiting ideas, from the person that lives in the mirror. Right? Dave Ramsey says that he's made a lot of mistakes, but the reason he's made a lot of mistakes is because of the person that he shaves with every morning, right? Referring to himself. So there is a level of accountability, a level of responsibility in this. The truth is that we face these difficulties. And again, sometimes they're exterior, sometimes they're interior. Sometimes it's our own doubt, is our own doubt in ourselves and our abilities. Sometimes it's our own limiting beliefs that causes us to feel as though we can't continue forward. And so the onslaught could be from the outside, but it could also be from within. But once you have determined that you're going to win, once you've determined that you're going to accomplish your goal, and you are able to identify where the onslaught is coming from, where the attack is coming from, where the strikes are coming from, then you can begin to implement a game plan that works. Okay, I thought I was going to go left. Clearly, I'm going to have to go right, because if I keep going left, I'm going to keep getting hit. This is why you see fighters that fight and go the distance. Sometimes it's not that they want to get hit. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to get hit, but there are these moments where they are testing out their opponent. And they say, okay, this person keeps to the right. This person keeps going hook, then a jab. Okay, so now I know exactly what to do, right? I know how to counter attack. I know how to pivot. I know how to actually maneuver. It didn't seem like there was a way out, like there was a solution, but there is. It didn't feel like it. Is why we talk about thinking strategically, and thinking strategically is the ability to pivot. It's the ability to see a solution even when you don't feel like there's one. And your emotions may be telling you, hey, the beating you're taking is too much. The difficulty you're facing is too much. The giants, the dragons, it's all way too much. But if you withstand, the next thing to do is implement. Okay, I understand I'm facing some difficulties. What do I have to do next? How do I maneuver under all of these things? How do I maneuver, right? We've been able to withstand the attack, but now we need to implement a strategy so that we don't keep getting hit, because nobody want to keep getting hit. How do we maneuver into all of these things? How do we make a move in the face of all of these challenges? We're talking about the definition of win, the definition of W-I-N. And we've established that the W stands for withstand. So as you're navigating the journey of completing your goals, becoming that version of you that you want to become, you may encounter some challenges, some difficulties, but you have to withstand. And if you do, on the other side will be a better version of you. On the other side will be the accomplishment of your goals. Right? This is all muscle. It's all muscles. And so the more you work out, I had a manager of mine several years ago who would say, she would say, hey, I'm built for this. We would face difficulties in the organization. She would say, I'm built for this. I have thick skin. I can withstand the pressure, she would say. She would say, stand behind me. Let me take the attacks. And the truth is that the only way people, you and I, can get that thick skin is if we just stand. If in the moment of the onslaught, in the moment of the difficulty, in the moment of the challenges, we're not running. There are people that are runners, and they are quick of running away from the difficulty, running away from the challenges, running away from difficult conversations, running away from pressure moments. And yet we understand that pressure makes coals into diamond. Right? So you're not going to shine if you don't withstand. But now that you've withstood all of these onslaught, the idea would be that you implement. That's the other part of the definition of win. You implement. Right? You understand the way things are going, and you begin to implement a strategy that actually works. You pivot, you move. Maybe somebody in your corner ain't thinking you can do this. Maybe your mindset, maybe you underestimated. Maybe you thought it was going to be super easy, and you realize there's some challenges to this. And so you have to begin to implement. So often we want to just give up. We say, okay, it's hard, it's challenging. I underestimated the difficulty. I underestimated X, Y, Z. I best just walk away. I give up. No, if you walk away, then you're not withstanding. Why not just keep moving forward and implement? This is where investing in yourself, getting yourself with a coach, getting yourself with a team that can actually be of support so that when you're feeling like this is too much, I don't think I can take it, that coach, that accountability partner can actually say, no, wait a minute, think strategically. At least that's my job as a personal growth strategist, is that when I see individuals that are getting ready to say, I'm out of here. No. Listen. Do not leave the kitchen just because it's hot in there. Because the only thing you do in the kitchen is cook, right? And when they get really hot, I remember when I was a kid, when it would get hot in the kitchen, and it was only because there was not proper ventilation. And so what would happen is that the heat from the oven would make that room so hot. It would make it so hot. But you know what was happening? Something was in the oven. Something was cooking. And if you walk away just because of the heat, that means you're also not looking at what's in the oven. And it may require your attention. Just because the heat done gone up don't mean it's time for you to run. But if you don't have the appropriate people in your corner who's telling you, hey, implement. This is the moment to implement. This is the moment to pivot. Then yes, you will walk away. You will look for the nearest exit. There's one more part on the definition of win, the definition of W-I-N, and I want to share it to you, not before saying thank you to all of you who are listening on the Wisdom application. If so far there's anything that has spoken to you, that has brought enlightenment to you, smash that button, become a guest, become part of the conversation, because as you do that, it also opens up the conversation for those individuals who may be thinking the same thing you are. Of course, all of the conversations we have here on the Wisdom app are becoming part of the conversation on the Strategy Rewind podcast. So if you haven't downloaded the Strategy Rewind podcast, please consider checking it out. Available on all streaming audio platforms. Super grateful that I could be connected here with all of you here today as we're talking about the definition of win. The definition of W, which is withstand, I, which is implement, and N. And N is actually a Latin term that I want to share with you. There is a Latin term which is neo plus ultra. Let me repeat it again. Neo plus ultra. And this Latin term means no more beyond. And this is what neo plus ultra means. This Latin term simply means no more beyond. This is when you've given it all you have. This is when you've invested and you have gone all in, when you have believed in the vision, when you have believed in what you're doing, when you are totally invested, not just in an idea, but that you can taste victory and you realize there is no going back. This is what this term neo plus ultra means. It is the idea that there is no going back. I've gone too far to go backwards. I've gone too far to go back to the person that I was. I've come too far to simply retreat. And some of you understand that you've gone too far to go back to who you were, to go back to that stinking thinking, to go back to those old habits, to go back to those limiting beliefs. You've come too far to go back to those relationships that don't help you grow. You've come too far. You've done too much work in yourself and in the person that you could be to just go back. For some of you, there ain't no place to go back. You bet all in. You went all in on this idea that this would be the year, that you would go ahead and accomplish your goals. There's no going back. For some of you, literally, there's no place to go back to. You've, in the hopes of lighting up your journey, you've burned bridges, and you said, "I'm gonna leave it all out there because if I'm gonna burn a bridge, I'm gonna let the light shine my journey." And I dig it. I get it. I understand. But now that you have gone beyond the no more, you have gone beyond what you think, hey, I've made it too far, this is the time to press in even more. Because oftentimes what happens is that when we have gone to a limit of ourselves, we sometimes realize the change that has taken place in us, and we become satisfied with that change that's gone on. And so we take our foot off the gas. I spoke about this recently in a talk in an episode titled The Poison of Prosperity. I want to encourage you to check it out either on the Wisdom app or on the Strategy Rewind podcast. It's titled The Poison of Prosperity. Because what happens is that, and I went into depth on that talk, so I won't do it here, but just for the sake of context, what happens is that we get to a point where we're seeing breakthrough, we're seeing prosperity, we're seeing favor, we're seeing like everything is clicking, everything is finally going so good for us. And what happens is that instead of continuing to push forward, we take our foot off the gas pedal. We put the car in neutral. And if you put a vehicle in neutral, it's going to go wherever it's pushed. And so this is the thing, that if the car has momentum and you're in drive, but all of a sudden you drop it to neutral, because it has momentum, it'll keep moving forward. But if anything comes and pushes it to a different direction, because it's on neutral, it'll go to another direction. And sometimes we're on the journey and we're seeing success and we're seeing breakthrough and we're seeing all the things we've wanted to see for so long, that what happens is that we drop it from drive to neutral. We hit that cruise control real quick and our reaction time reduces because we get comfortable. I want you to know that success and the journey to success, growth and the journey to growth, it's not like a Tesla where you could just go to bed and let it drive itself. That's not how that works. It's going to require your focus. It's going to require your dedication. It's going to require your commitment. And you're going to have to commit and recommit. Because even if you decide, even if you're listening and you're saying, you know what, I want to work with Miguel. I want Miguel to be my personal growth strategist. I want him to help me implement a strategy so I can achieve my goals. I want to do that. I'm going to call him up. We're going to set something up. Even if you make that decision, responsibility of making it happen is going to knock on someone's door, and it ain't mine. You see, for as great as Phil Jackson was as a coach, it was Michael Jordan who woke up every day and shot the ball and made sure to practice morning, noon, at night. This is why they won the championships they won. For as great as Phil Jackson was as a coach, it was Kobe Bryant who would wake up morning, noon, and night and shoot the ball. It was his hustle, it was his drive, his determination. So you have one coach, two fantastic players that were generational players. But let's not forget that every basketball team in the NBA has a minimum of about 13, 14 players. How come we only remember these two names? That's because the other individuals may have not gone as hard, may have not committed as much as these two individuals did. The coach was great. There's a reason why Phil Jackson is known as the Zen Master. There's a reason why people attribute so much success to him, not only as a player, but as a coach with the Los Angeles Lakers and with the Chicago Bulls. There's a reason why people remember Phil Jackson. However, we cannot take away from the dedication and the willingness to withstand and the readiness to implement and the understanding of nil plus ultra, which means no more beyond. I've gone too far to quit. These individuals displayed it. So it's important that in your corner you have people that would nourish your vision, but understand ultimately it is your vision. And you have been entrusted with that vision. So for me, you know, I believe that there is a God in the heavens. And so my belief is that if God gave you the vision to do it, the people around you are going to help you and uplift you to bring that vision to reality. But ultimately, it falls on you. When you're standing before the throne of God and he reads out your name, he's going to say, hey, did you do X, Y, Z, right? When he calls my name and says, Miguel, did you do what I told you to do? Did you put out there that vision? Did you actually work the gifts and the talents? He's going to call to account somebody else. It's going to be to me. I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm just simply trying to illustrate to you the importance of the gifts, the talents that you possess, and that all of that falls to you to bring to life. But you do not have to journey by yourself, because every great athlete had a coach in their corner. Every great team had a coach in their corner. Rather, that was the dream team or the redeem team. They all had a fantastic coach. Rather it was Muhammad Ali, rather it was Manny Pacquiao or any other boxer, rather it was Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or anyone before or after. The fact is, they all had one thing in common, and that was not only that they understood the definition of win, but that they had also had a coach in their corner. I would encourage you to invest in your dreams, to invest in you. I would encourage you to actually broaden your circle. The definition of win is what we've been talking about here today. And in the definition of win, the definition of W.I.N, it's W stands for withstand. And you must withstand the onslaught that will come your way when you determine that you want to be a better you. Implement. You must be willing to implement, ready to implement the strategy required in order to accomplish your goal. And the N stands for nil plus ultra, a Latin term that means no more beyond. And this term implies that you've gone too far in order to turn back. You've gone too far. There's nowhere else to go but forward. And as you determine to move forward, it is important that you would surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. I want to thank you so much, everyone who's been connected here on the Wisdom application, and those who may be listening through the Strategy Rewind podcast. We're getting ready to jump off and conclude this conversation. But before we do, if you're listening on the Wisdom app and you want to tap that button, become a guest, become part of the conversation, do it right now before we end this conversation. Do it right now, because remember that as you speak, your voice gives voice to the voiceless. I want to thank you all who are right now connected. Again, the definition of win is what we've been talking about. W stands for withstand, I stands for implement, and N stands for nil plus ultra, a Latin term that means no more beyond. It's the understanding that I've come too far to turn around. Thank you so much for being connected. Have a wonderful day.